Welcome. This is 45 minutes Bowspring and abs, and we are going straight into all fours to start. So hands and knees, and in all fours, beginning a bit more traditional yoga style. So inhale and look forward, drop your belly, lift your sit bones up, and then exhale to round your spine, tuck your chin in, and move your tailbone down. And just continue that as a gentle warm-up of the spine. So arching your back and then rounding your spine. And in a lot of traditional modalities of creating core strength, it's usually the rounded position that's emphasized. Think of lying on your back and putting your back flat to the floor. So it's in that position that you get maximum tone through the front of your body. And a little less emphasis in core strength in the arched position. And as you pulsate between two fairly deep extremes of the spine, so the deep rounded position, what's called flexion, and then the back bend position, which is called extension, eventually try to find the place in the middle. And the place in the middle isn't necessarily a flat back. I can do my best to show the flat back here. So that's all fours and where you sink your chest further down, but then tuck your tailbone under to make a flat spine. And very few things in nature, very few animals are completely flat and straight. So instead do the opposite. Push down with the hands, lift the rib cage higher, and then push your knees out to the side to move your hips further back. Tuck your toes under and lift your knees to hover away from the ground. So bear position, pausing to hold here. Actively push down with the hands and away from each other. Push the feet down and away from each other so you get stronger. And holding this position, just to explain, so the premise of Bowspring is to create the natural curvatures of the spine, so to create a little arch in the low back, and then from there, tone and squeeze the abs firm. So not necessarily suck the navel into the spine to create that rounded position where you get tight, but to maintain the neutral spine and just squeeze in all sides. So front, back, and both left and right. Slowly lower your knees down. Point your toes. Imagine your hips getting pulled back. At the same time, use your hands to pull towards your knees to move the rib cage and crown of your head forward. So instead of shortening your abs, your core, try to lengthen it, and again, tone strong and squeeze in. Push down with the hands and knees. Push the hands and knees away from each other and squeeze your belly as fierce as you can here in a neutral spine position. Holy! Tuck your toes under and send your hips up and back for crouching cat position. So the same holds true here. Push the hands down and away from each other. Pull the hips up into the air. Create an arch in your low back and then tone your belly. How to tone your belly? Tone the belly. Just squeeze it strong. Pull the hands back towards your feet. Move the crown of your head forward and then position your right foot a little closer to the left foot and lift your left leg out to the side. Option to rise up onto dome hands for your left hand and then add a little bit of a pulse, a little bit of a bicycle action with your left leg. So creating imaginary resistance, a real opportunity to increase the core strength and power in a pose is adding imaginary elements. Also great in life. I've got a lot of imaginary friends, really good when we end up in lockdown situations. Step your left foot forward. It doesn't have to go all the way to your hands. And then rise up, place both hands to your knees. So again, if you tuck your tailbone under, you shorten the front body, which was the traditional way of doing crunches. We can potentially explore that later in the practice. But instead, do the opposite. Move the hips back, embrace the low back curvature inward. Place your hands to your knees, push your knees forward, but then also now slide your hands to the outside of your knees, push your knees out. Find the strength in your legs, and then reach your arms forward. Touch the tips of your fingers for globe hands position. Where Bowspring really shifted compared to yoga for me was the idea of just being engaged in the core constantly. Now, position your hips back, use that as a spring to push off and lift up into propeller position. So pausing here in propeller, holding strong. If you want to add more core engagement, place both hands to both knees, especially focus on the lifted leg knee, the right knee. Push the knee forward, move your hips back, arch your low back, create then the strength, tone your abs, squeeze them in strong, and maintain that strength. Go back to globe hands and add the pulse. One more pose here. Swing your right leg up and over your left for eagle position, but make a kickstand with your foot to the outside of your left foot. Then join your hands together. Place your thumbs to the crown of your head. Lift your head up into your thumbs, but drops the hips down. So rib cage up, hips drop down. Create length, make yourself as long as possible, and then tone fully. Squeeze the abs in. Opportunity to lean and arch back. One more breath in, and then on an exhale, turn forward. Unwrap the leg, swing your leg behind you, bring your hands down, and go into hitch kicks, which is just switching from foot to foot. So it can be just these little hops. Little hops. If you're getting a bit more playful, you can come up higher. Maybe holding, whoa, almost going all the way over. Holding and slowly coming down. Keep going again and again and again and again. And eventually come back to all fours position, hands and knees. In all fours, make a fist with your left hand and lift your left leg out to the side. Lower your knee down and reopen your leg. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Next time your knee is out to the side, keep it out to the side. Move your hips towards your right heel and extend your left leg straighter to the side. Opportunity to lift your left hand, cup the back of your head. Okay, then go hand down, bend your knee, lower your knee, make a fist with your right, lift your right leg out and lower it down. And continue that. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Remember, a strong core isn't just the six pack, it's all of the muscles that connect to the trunk of the body. Keep your knee out to the side, extend your legs straighter. Hold strong. Opportunity to cup the back of your head. Woo. Okay, and then lower your knee, lower your hand, and then lower your elbows. I like to interlace the fingers or sometimes prayer position and step back into forearm plank position to pause, to hold. Prayer just because it can become a religious experience to be in forearm plank. Holding strong, actively push down with the elbows, lift the rib cage up. This is years and years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, but I was yelled at it was a gym, a fitness place. And I was just told, keep tucking under, tucking under, tucking under, tucking under. I was like, it hurts. Why are you making me do this? And they're like, you've arched your back too much. And I felt that I was in a neutral spine position and that I just have butt muscles. So remember that the outer form of your body isn't the inner shape of your spine. And everyone's shape is different. And the only way to truly know your spine shape is to get an x-ray while you're in the pose, which would be an interesting job for an x-ray tech. If you've got the strength to come right up to your hands and push back to crouching cat, do so. If you need to put your knees down first, go there. Pausing in crouching cat, maybe adding a little bit of a pulse. So the inhale can be a forward movement, and then the exhale moving the hips back. And again, eventually, the visualization, the sensation, the feeling is to have the hips pulling back and the rib cage moving forward simultaneously. Move the left foot a little closer to the right foot. Lift your right leg out to the side. Dome the right hand, so that's not to weight bear, but just to have the hand down as a steady outrigger. Just some support. Option to add some bicycle pedals with the right leg. And then slowly step the foot. It doesn't have to go all the way forward, doesn't matter. And rise up, hands to both knees. Tilt forward, push the knees forward, move your hips back. Again, bowspring becomes quite a powerful practice when you learn to create your own engagement. So getting the arch in the low back, what it's not is just an arch in the back. So it's an arch in the low back, a roundedness in the upper back, length through the spine, go into globe hands position, pulse a little bit forward and back, pulse in a way that you could lift your front foot if you move back, or you could lift the back foot if you move forward. Now push off of the back foot and rise up into propeller position. So keeping the strength. One way to do this pose differently would be to put your back foot up to a wall behind you and then pull up with the foot. You could also push down with the foot. You could bring your hands to your knees and then press the left knee into your left hand to feel that tone through your belly. Look forward, keep your chin lifted slightly so that the throat is open and makes it easier to breathe. And then one last position, swing the left leg up and over the right, kickstand eagle, hands together, thumbs to the top of your head, just as feedback to lift up at the same time as dropping the hips down and back. So lift the head up into the hands. Try to get a tone and stretch in your belly first. Then squeeze it in, get strong, and start to lean back. Push your outer knees into each other. One more breath in. And then tilt forward. Swing your leg back. Bring both hands down. And with your hands down, just switch from foot to foot. So just getting playful. Going upside down, you could go side to side, off of the mat if you want. And again, maybe you get to a point where you could possibly hover and hold the position. Upside down, woo, 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 woo. And back to all fours pose. Here in all fours, lower just your right elbow down and then step your feet back into the forearm plank position, but with your left hand still down. Now, turn both feet to the left. You can make an outrigger with the left arm, so straight out to the side on fingertips, or lift the left arm up into the air, holding strong. Steady, 3, 2, 1, and then lower your hand, lift your heels, push to come back up into plank position, and then lower down onto your left elbow. Turn your feet to the right, and then opportunity to outrigger your right arm, twist to the side, and then arm up into the air. So I love to go to yoga classes, bowspring classes, Pilates classes, sometimes just gym exercise, CrossFit classes. And then right hand down, lift your way back up into plank. Lower your knees down to pause. Have a little bit of a breather, just a nice stretch. Lift your left leg back. Reach behind you with your right hand, grab hold of the big toe side of your left foot. Kick your foot back. Lift your knee up into the air. And twist to the right. So I always find it fun where I will apply bowspring-like qualities into other modalities, so CrossFit. And it's funny because I don't always get a good why. Why do we do something? Lower your hands, lower your knee. and lift your right leg back. Swing your left hand behind you to grab hold of the foot. Kick your foot back, lift your knee higher, and twist to the left. So an aspect of Bowspring I find is that work more naturally. Don't work so hard. Don't make things so difficult. Maybe make the base positions more mindful and engaged so that you can make the more challenging ones fluid and dynamic, versus trying to make something difficult just for the sake of difficult. Okay, then lower your hand, lower your knee. And so what I would do at the gym, if it was an exercise to lower down onto the elbows and come back up onto the hands, is actually to sway the hips. So hips go to the left, drop the elbow down, hips go to the right, drop the left elbow down, hips go to the left, rise onto the right hand, hips go to the right, rise to the left hand, and just doing that back and forth and using that to be efficient. If you want to try it more difficult, don't sway the hips, and just notice that that might harden you, which is a-okay if that's what you're seeking. Switch the direction, so it's elbows, left elbow, left hand, right hand. You could always do this with your knees down as well. About this point of practice, the question comes into your mind, why did I decide to do this practice today? And then back, crouching cat position. In crouching cat, turn both feet towards the left and then rise onto your left fingertips. Drop the right heel all the way down and lift your left leg up into the air. Opportunity to cup the back of your left hand to your head, or even go hand to the front of your knee. Push your knee forward, move your hips back, maybe even hold the back of your thigh and extend your leg straighter. Ooh, that's tough. Now pivot, turn and step your foot forward, rise up into the Bowspring version of side angle position, what's called side coil. So in this pose, have a slightly shorter stance. Back foot turns in a bit and bend your back knee to get lower into the front knee. From there, twist towards the right. I like to make the fist with the top hand and then push the head forward into that resistance. Push, 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 push. Move the hips back, 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 back. And I like to use a block for half moon pose, so you're welcome to use blocks as needed. Push off your back foot to lift it up into the air. A little bit more of a Bowspring half moon though. Move the right knee forward in line with your hip, similar to what we did all fours with the leg out to the side. And you could open and close your leg up and down just to add some extra strength qualities. And then option to hold under your thigh and extend your leg straighter to the side. Wah, 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 wah. Doing a little bit of a switch here. Lower your right foot down, lean into your right foot, hold on to your left knee, and slowly rise up. From there, hold under your left thigh, bend your standing leg, extend the left leg forward, and then reach your arms up into the air, hold strong. So unfortunately, Bowspring got rid of a few poses, one being crow pose, but I just love crow pose. So lower your feet down, bend your knees, sink down low, and then place your hands down, put your shins to your upper arms, and lean forward into crow position. Push your arms straighter. If you want to modify and adapt your crow, you're welcome to. If you don't want to do crow, just stay in the squat. That's where we'll go next. So squat position. If you do have a block or something like a water bottle, you're welcome to use it. And then sit down onto your butt for boat pose. In around April or May, I did an Instagram meme, or as I call them, memes. And it was to describe 2021 with a yoga pose and a song. And I chose Annie Lennox's Why, because this boat is sinking. So sink down into the boat. This is a little bit more traditional abs where you have the rounded spine position. And then slowly come up. We'll do that 4 more times. So it's slow and steady. Why, It's always great to know the why for anything. Sometimes the reason is just because that's a pose and we want to do it. Ooh. And I think this is the last one, which is great news. And then come up. I've got 2 blocks for this. If you want to go fists or hands flat, you could do that. Blocks just gives you a bit more height, but cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Lean forward, push with your hands, lift your butt up, hold, and then lower down. If you need a bit of a break for your hip flexors, bring the heels down. You could continue holding a block or water bottle and then just go side to side. So nothing wrong with having the heels down, especially if you pull the heels back towards your butt so you get the legs more active and strong. Again, you could have the feet lifted. You could have the legs straight, just lots of options. No shortage of options today. Okay, and then back to center. This time, left ankle in front of right ankle. Lean forward, push with the hands. Try to lift up, hold, hold. If you have the capacity to bring the legs back behind you, do so. And we'll end up just back in crouching cat position. From crouching cat, move forward and lower your knees down. Lift your feet and cross at your shins. Have the hands wide and turn them in just a little bit. Push the knees out to the sides and then slowly lower down halfway. Bend your elbows, pause and hold. And then push with the hands to come up. And again, lower down. And when you come up, you can even move back a bit where you move your hips towards your heels, that direction. I'm just doing a few more of those. In Bowspring, these are called Panther Prep. Okay, one more. And then return the hands to the usual system and back up, crouching cat. So it's not really anything different than down dog. Down dog, it becomes more of a resting pose. You'll even hear that in class. Down dog is a resting pose. Crouching cat isn't necessarily. It's one where you're pretty ready and engaged. Now turn your feet to the right. So the heels drop to the left ear to left shoulder, rise onto your right fingertips. Or drop the left heel all the way down, lift your right leg up into the air, and then right hand could be at the top of your head, the front of your thigh, or the back of the thigh and working your legs straighter. Ooh, that's tough to do. Make sure I have a block ready for the eventualities. Step your foot forward, and then rise up, forearm to your thigh, side coil position. So side coil, shorter stance, back knee bent, left hand to your low back and move your low back in so you get the arch, twist fully. And then to mimic that lengthening of your spine, you could put a hand to the top of your head so you lengthen and get long in your belly and then squeeze and tone it from there. And add a pulse so the inhale is going forward and the exhale is moving back. And if you have music on, it makes it a bit easier. Sometimes I dance to the soundtrack of my own head, whatever is in my mind. Okay, now setting up for half moon bow style. Push off your back foot, lift it up into the air. Pull the knee forward, move the hips back. Opportunity here to open and close your leg. If this doesn't get you up in the morning, I don't know what does. And next time the leg is out to the side, keep it out to the side. Hold underneath your thigh and extend your leg straighter. Wowza. Zoink scoobs. Okay, then bend your knee, lower your foot down, lean into your left foot, slowly lift your right heel, hold on to your right knee, and rise up to a standing position. Standing, bend the left leg a little, hold under your right thigh, extend your right leg straighter, look forward. And then opportunity to go arms up in the air as well. Okay, then bend, or just lower your foot, bend your knees, place your hands to your knees for recovery position. So recovery is knees bent, hips go back, tuck the chin in, fill into your upper back, and then just a gentle twist towards the left. So hold the outside of the left knee with your right hand, left hand to your low back, specifically the sacrum. It's just a little bit above the crest of the gluteal cleft, which is a polite way of saying butt crack. Okay, and then come up and switch the other side. Just anytime someone says butt crack, it usually makes everyone giggle. Move the hips back. If you're holding the outside of your right knee, push the knee out to the side, pull in with the hand, create your own resistance, move your low back in and up as you twist. Okay, and then tilt forward, bring your hands down, and then the dream is to lift your heels and just one day float up into handstand. And it's definitely not today for me, but it may be for you. Just lean, 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 lean. It's core strength, it's body awareness, it's flexibility, it's arm strength, it's everything. And then step back, all fours position, hands and knees. Push the knees out, move the hips about halfway towards the heels, what's often referred to as spring load position. And then with your hands, pull your hands towards your knees, get a little arch in your low back, and then stretch your belly out. Opportunity to move a little bit side to side here, tilting right ear to right shoulder, and then left ear to left shoulder. Okay, then tuck your toes, lift your knees to hover, and turn your knees over to the left. Bring your right hip down. You can also lift the left knee up so you're on the bottom of your left foot, and seated side twist. So push with the hands, maybe fingertips left hand, and twist from left to right. And nothing super fancy, just switching over to the other side. So going onto your left hip, lift the right knee up and twist from right to left. Okay, showing the backside version of this one first. Slide your left arm long, lie onto your side body, and then have both knees bent, hover the right leg, and bring your right hand to the front of your right thigh, and push the leg forward so you move your hips back. Lift your chin, try to get a long belly, but a toned belly, so that means the low back moves in and up. Then place your hand to the outside of your knee, push the left knee down and the right knee up till you feel more strength. Then glue the inner edges of your feet together, so the big toe sides. Place your right hand to your hip and then lift the right knee up and lower your knee down. And try not to move your hips as you do this. The range of motion might not be that grand or great. Might be just enough to feel the tone, strength in your belly. You could also put your hands to your belly to feel that. And it's more subtle. It's a little bit on the Pilates side of things. Okay, then roll onto your back. You can swing your arms up into the air and just wiggle your way to the center of your space again. Doing your best here to have the low back slightly lifted away from the ground. And I actually have a membership at one gym that has a pad to put underneath your low back. So it's a gym that understands that neutral in the spine is a great place to be in. Now keep your left foot down, lift your right leg up into the air and hold the back of your thigh. Extend your leg straighter. We'll have opportunities to do this a little bit later as well, but if you want to make it more challenging core-wise, push with the back of your head and then lift your rib cage up away from the floor. So I'm only on the back of the head, the back of the pelvis, and then the bottom of the left foot, which isn't weight bearing, it's actually just kind of touching at this point. Okay, then lower the rib cage, lower the right foot, pause, moment to recoup, and switch. Hold the back of your left thigh. Use your left hand or the hands to pull your left thigh down into the hip socket as you extend the leg straighter. More challenge, push the back of your head down to lift your rib cage up to hold. Woo. That one is a good one. Okay, and then a lower down. Again, opportunity to just pause. I like some of the Bowspring versions of core because they're not quite as extreme. And just more extreme would be, say, going into crunches or setups where you're rounding in your low back. And here I am flattening the abs, doing crunches. And just to think about that, lift your feet up, reach your arms up. If you're flattening your abs, you're actually like squishing them together, so you're actually widening the waist. Whereas when you lengthen the spine, you can make yourself narrower, just if you're concerned about shapes. Move to the right with your legs, arms over to the left, and just about halfway. So it's a twist where you're still active and engaged. You can add a little bit of a bicycle. Whee, bicycle. And then come up, and then over to the other side. Legs to left, arms to right, pause to hold. Okay, I often call this next one, I Have the Power. It's in honor of He-Man. Come back to center and place your hands to the front of your thigh. Begin to push your legs away from you, but your legs resist. Keep the low back slightly lifted, and then tone your abs. The abs becomes the intermediary, trying to create some sort of truce, some sort of balance between arms and legs. Push, 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 resist, 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 hold, 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 hold. It's I Have the Power because you could push as hard as you want or just pretend to, oh, this is so hard, but I'm not doing anything. And then release, arms alongside you. Whew. So that action of the pushing the legs and with the hands can be the final form of this next one. You can even start with holding a block, or you could put a block between your ankles as you do this, but it'll just start with legs up in the air. And it's okay to have the knees bent. I think it's better because it's a little easier on the hip flexors, just to bring your heels down and then re-lift your legs. You could hold the block over the head as well, showing block versions, but you don't need the block. And just progressively adding on this one. Next time the legs lift, you could lift the arms up as well, and then take the arms up and over, and continue that. And if you want to make it even more challenging, you can bring the hands to the knees and push in, keep the low back slightly lifted, and then come down. And again, push, whoa, and come down. Two more. Push, and lower, and then push, and lower. Then remove the block, roll onto your right side, and pause there. Block maybe in the way. And hover the left leg, left hand to the front of your thigh. So just a simple version of the I Have the Power. We've done this one a few times. Push the knee forward, move your hips back, tone your belly, lift your chin, Then hand to the outside of the knee, push the right knee down, left knee up, feel that glute strength. You could even hold under your thigh and just extend your legs straight or forward just to feel a nice stretch there momentarily. Then glue the inner edges of your feet together, left hand to your hip, open the left knee up, and then bring it down, up, down, up, down, often called clamshells. Of course, Bowspring is one aspect of engaging the core. Of course, yoga has its thing. Pilates is also phenomenal, and I'm a big believer of doing multiple systems and learning from that how to focus on the nuances and the subtleties. It took me probably about like 4 to 5 months to understand what Pilates was asking me to do. Okay, and then left hand down and push your way back up into all fours position. Tuck your toes under and rise up to crouching cat position. In crouching cat, lift your right leg forward, cross your ankle over your knee, and then slowly lower the knee down. I like to use blocks for this one. It's called falcon pose. It's essentially just the figure 4 position of your legs, but in pigeon. So with your hands, push the hands forward to move the hips back to get the arch in the low back. And then think of the hips getting locked in place there, and then use your hands to pull your rib cage as far forward as you can as you move your hips back. And then lower down onto the elbows. I know some who like to keep the strength going by lifting the back foot and pulling the heel in. As you push down with the elbows, pull the rib cage forward. Becomes a fairly fierce and strong position. Those who want a twist to the pose, the twist is a twist, which just means move your left elbow to the right edge of the mat, make a fist with your left hand, and wrap the right hand over top. Great news. Anyone like to climb mountains? This one's purely for the fun of it, the exercise, the abs, the cardio. Hands down, I'm going to use the blocks for it just because it's a little bit easier, I think, on the hands and coming up. But back to crouching cat. Move forward to plank and then bring one knee in, step your foot back, other knee in, step your foot back, and then you can start to pick up the pace. I know people who go right elbow to left knee, or right knee to left elbow, left knee to right elbow, crossing it over, and just go faster, 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 faster. Working off Christmas turkey. And then pause. Left ankle crosses in front of the right thigh. Slowly position your shin down. So it's not pigeon in the sense that you just go into a relaxing position. Push the hips back, press your knees out to the side, and then use your hands to pull your rib cage forward. So hips go as far back as possible as you lower onto your elbows and pull your rib cage forward as much as possible. And if you're newer to Bowspring, it just doesn't make sense. There'll be a moment where there's a click and the recognition that every single pose is a core pose, and then it just goes, mind is blown because it's all of a sudden every pose is fully charged. Okay, and then option to do the twist. So using the block, right elbow to the left edge of the mat, making a fist, left hand over top. I just find that to be a stronger position to be in. Okay, then look to the floor, left hand down, come all the way back up, and then crouching cat position. Final opportunity, if you want to go upside down, the opportunity's there if you're near a wall and step your feet up like that. If you've got the confidence to hop a few times on the spot on your mat, you can do that. Try to show. pausing to hold bowspring style. You could also go up with straight legs. The old handstand to Shavasana transition, a great one. Return to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees to hover, turn your knees to the left, lower onto your right hip, right arm long, and roll onto your back. Final core exercise, I call it suspended animation. So arms go up, but bend your elbows out to the side, touch the tips of your fingers together, globe hands, lift your feet to the height of your knees. Imagine pulling down as if someone was holding under your heels like a wheelbarrow. So the legs get strong, and then push your head down to lift your rib cage up. So the only part touching the floor is the back of the head, the back of the pelvis. I have some students, or I know some teachers who get their rib cage like 30, 40 centimeters away from the floor here. Mine's maybe like 3. And then the opportunity is to create a bicycle action. So creating tone through the entire torso and strength in the neck as well. Whew. Could even go slow, fast, however you want to finish this. Okay, and then lower your feet down. Move your hips a little to the left. Drop your knees all the way over to the right. And then use your left arm up overhead, kind of like a chin-up bar position, right hand to your thigh. So the emphasis here is lie on your right side and then twist from right to left. It's okay that the left shoulder doesn't get down. Just trying to mellow things out. And then come all the way up. Shift the hips to the right. Drop your knees over to the left. And then use your right hand more in that chin-up bar position to twist from left to right. Okay, slowly come back up. Lift your feet to hover, hands to the front of your thighs. I have the power. Push just a little bit, press back just a little bit. Hold hands a little longer, longer with big, and then hands to the kneecaps. Allow the thighs to drop down into the hip sockets. And final pose, opportunity to hold the back of your thighs and extend your legs up into the air with your low back slightly lifted. Ooh. And then one by one, slide your legs out. Final resting position. Bowspring, it's actually called assimilation as opposed to corpse pose. As opposed to it being the end, imagine this as the time to absorb, soak in whatever it was that you gained in terms of insight, knowledge. Obviously, that could be because of the incredible wisdom I was sharing, but more likely it's also just the knowledge, the information you gather through your own body, the feelings, the empowerment, the strength, the precision, the sensitivity. And take this time to hold on to it, to remember, so that it's not in vain. It's not to be forgotten. And take a big breath in and a big breath out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reach your arms up and over. And then bend your knees, roll over to a side. And slowly rise up to a tall seated position. You can even lean forward, grab your butt flesh and pull it back so that you sit with a taller spine. And then join your hands into globe hands. Lift the chin slightly. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Namaste. Tuck your chin and lower down.